let's kick off. I see some people are still coming in, but for the sake of time, we will start the webinar. From my side, I am Matton. I'm the project coordinator of STADIEM. And I wish you all a very warm welcome to this webinar, where we are going to introduce you to the STADIEM project and to go into the details of the open call of STADIEM and the opportunities that are there for you. Before we start, I have together with me here 6 panelists who are ready to answer your questions. Some of them will make a presentation first, and then afterwards we answer questions. So just going through the list, I will let them very quickly introduce them to you. So starting with Galileo. Good morning, Galileo. Good afternoon, Galileo.
Hi, everybody. Yes, Galileo speaking from Zurich. I work for Martel Innovate, which is in charge of communication and dissemination, or collaborating with the other partners in this project. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Then we have Einar.
Hello, I'm Einar Kaslegard from Media City Bergen, in a beautiful city in the west coast of Norway, working together with all these partners.
Hello, then there is Frederik.
Hello, I'm Frederik Schots from VRT in Brussels. I'm looking forward to working with you on this program.
Then there is Sten. Hello.
Hello from very, very wintry Tallinn, Estonia, -14 degrees today outside. I'm the founder and CEO of Storytek, which is an agency that connects media and tech innovators with corporates in this region.
Okay, thank you, Sten. Then Tanja. Hello.
Hi, I'm Tanja Deuerling. I'm from Hamburg. I'm part of the NMA team, one of the 4 hubs who are going to support new startups and SMEs for the program. Yes, welcome from Hamburg.
Okay, and finally, Violeta.
Hi, everyone. I'm Violeta Vasileva. I'm based in Sofia in Bulgaria. I'm part of F6S team. And F6S is a global community that supports entrepreneurs in their scaling journey. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Before I start with my presentation, so first of all, there will be kind of a presentation session where myself, Einar, and Violeta will run you through STADIEM, the open call, and the application process. In case you have questions, you will find there is a Q&A function available in this Zoom. Please use this Q&A to answer your questions. And after the presentation, we will take your questions and try to answer them as good as we can regarding the open call. So right now, let me go in presentation mode and share my screen. Okay. And then we can kick off. So welcome to this STADIEM webinar. STADIEM is a Horizon 2020 project, which kicked off towards the end of last year, working on startup-driven innovation in the European media. And I'm going to run you through a quick overview of the project. So actually what we are trying to do within STADIEM is we are looking at media startups and startups that are working on technologies and solutions that can be put to use in the media industry. And we are going to do that in cooperation with corporates and venture partners and to create sustainable growth in next generation media. And actually a motivation why we started this project is because we see that the media industry, and especially the media sector in Europe, is kind of still very heavily burdened by the different countries, borders, languages, cultures that are there in Europe, making it sometimes quite difficult for startups working in the media to easily expand their business across the many borders and the many languages and cultures in Europe. And with STADIEM and some of the other initiatives that are running, we're trying to get away a bit with these barriers and to make a program that more easily allows startups to grow and expand their business in Europe by linking them with the correct partners. The intention for STADIEM is to build a strong community Within MediaTech, of course, also linking towards other relevant stakeholders in the domain, where we stimulate, shape, and foster emerging technologies application in next generation media. So we want to offer startups in Europe the opportunity to do business. We also want to offer media organizations in Europe, of course, to reinvent themselves and to put in use these innovative new technologies that you all bring on the table today. And we are doing this through offering an incubation and acceleration program. What we will be doing is we want to connect startups with relevant hubs across Europe, with relevant ecosystems across Europe, in the different sandboxes and accelerators that are there. We want to liaise media startups with corporate clients. That's part of the STADIEM program to enrich the references. And thirdly, we are creating a STADIEM framework, and we also want to liaise a pool of very experienced experts and mentors with the startup and the media startup community in Europe. In short, STADIEM is a 3-year project, now kicked off end of last year. It has a budget of 5.5 million euro, of which the vast majority of the budget, namely 3.8 million euro, is going to be distributed through 2 open calls that the project will organize. One has been launched now, and in exactly 1 year, a second open call will be launched from within the project. We are 7 partners in the project. Actually, it's focused around 4 innovation hubs, 4 incubators, accelerators, actually. There is VRT, which is media organization in Brussels and Belgium. We have Media City Bergen, which is an incubator in Norway. Storytek is an accelerator in Estonia, and the NMA is an accelerator based in Hamburg in Germany. All of them are represented on the panel here today. And then we are reinforced by 3 supporting partners in the community building. Martil is helping us out with communication, dissemination, and community building. There is the EBU, the Union of Public Broadcasters in Europe, which is also helping us with the organization of events. And finally, we have F6S on board, which is running all the practicalities around the STADIEM Open Call. More about that in a minute. This is the summary of the project. So we have the 4 hubs around which the activities are clustered, which are linked to European startup networks and ecosystems on one side, and secondly, have strong connections with media corporates all across Europe. And together with that, with this setup, we're going to build the STADIEM acceleration framework, which in turn is going to be put inside this startup program for which we are running the open call. And the startup program consists of 4 stages: match, develop, integrate, pilot. But Einar from Media City Bergen is going to run you through that in a little bit more detail in a minute. So right now we are running this first open call for this first stage program. If you run through all 4 stages, if you are successful, it will be 14 months that you will be guided and mentored and coached by the STADIEM program. And we have a budget to distribute of 1.93 million euro at this stage during this open call. What's in for you? We offer access to collaborative and international media community. We offer cross-border cooperation between corporates and investors to establish funding and collaboration ties for the innovators within the STADIEM network. We offer incubation and acceleration services from the 4 hubs. We offer opportunities to develop, integrate, and pilot your solutions with a corporate partner. And the first stage on matchmaking is to find exactly these corporate partnerships that are needed to do that. We provide you with access to coaches, to mentors, and to technology validation in the project. And we are also going to organize networking, pitching, and matchmaking sessions for all the startups that are selected to participate in the program. I will show now a brief video which introduces the main aspects of the STADIEM program. The video was brand new. It will be released today. So you have like the premiere of it.
Are you a media startup or scale-up working on AI, data, content creation and distribution, or monetization? Are you ready to integrate your media solution live on air? But do you only miss the funds and network to make it happen?
That's why we're part of Stadium, a unique piloting program. We're excited to bring you, the media sector and investors together to boost media innovation. On top of that, you're able to get €150,000 for your project.
So if you are driven to turn your innovation into practice and experiment by collaborating with us or other media players, then this is the right program for you.
You will benefit from a 4-stage program. Phase 1 is the matching phase. Identify the media organization for your pilot during a series of digital events. Phase 2 is the develop phase. Develop your solution with guidance from industry stakeholders. Phase 3 is the integration phase. Integrate your solution in a near to live environment. Phase 4 is the pilot phase. Execute your pilot with the media organization in real life.
Stadium has a budget of 3.86 million available, and as a startup or SME, you could receive up to €150,000 for your project. Together with the international network of the Sandbox Hub, we look forward to introducing you into the larger media ecosystem.
Surprise us with your vision or idea. And if you shoot for the stars, then aim for the moon. Register today on stadium.eu.
Okay. Oops, sorry. So with this, I end my presentation. I will now give the words to Einar from Media City Bergen, who is going to run you through the objectives we have set for this first open call and the different phases and explain them in a little bit more detail. And then afterwards, Violeta from FXS will run you through the process of how to apply. And then after that, we are moving on with some question and answer time. So Einar, over to you.
Thank you, Mike. That was the wrong button. Let me find the right one. Do you see my screen now soon?
Yes, we see it.
Good. So we're going to look more closely into the objectives of Stadium and also the phases. These are the headlines of the 7 objectives: content creation and distribution, archiving, content verification and against disinformation, quality news, data, monetization platforms, and the moonshots. Let's take a look at some more details. Content creation distribution. Do you have a system for editing video in a new way? Maybe a smarter way of processing the video into different aspect ratios, adding graphics in new, smarter ways, and also making distribution easier, smarter than broadcasters are used to? You could have the answer for this challenge. Media houses today usually have huge archives, but they still have also huge challenges in finding and using the material. Do you have a good solution for looking up the treasures in the big archives? This might be the question for your answer. Content verification and against disinformation is a real challenge for the newsrooms around the world. We see every day that news is hard to verify, and the industry need the best tools to assist them in this challenge. This can be done in several ways. Please suggest your best practice. Quality news is about a new way of producing news, also called journalism 4.0. We need smart tools to visualize news, automate news formatting, and also empower the user to validate the quality. Maybe modular journalism is your product. Data. The world is all about data. How can we use all this data to make news better, smarter, and more correct? Cross-media measurements, analysis, monitoring, predictions, trends, and so on. Monetization has been a buzzword in digital media since the childhood. The fact is still that great content comes at a cost. We also see the war between the media in Australia these days, publishers against Facebook and Google How can we assist the news publishers and media houses to earn the money they should in the right hands, faster and more efficiently? And the last one, the moonshot, but not the least. We do not have all the questions. Therefore, we leave it to you to ask the right question. What does the world need? Surprise us with your great new idea. To wrap up, these are the 7 objectives of the STADIEM program. Take a look and see how you can give us some answers and where to apply. So in STADIEM, we have phases to bring you through the program. To be precise, we have 4 phases: match, develop, integrate, and pilot. Also have to say that we aim to start in maybe mid of May instead of June, but the end is still correct. We would like to have some more time in the match phase. The match phase is a 2-month period when we aim to get a letter of intent or another kind of intention from a corporate to go into collaboration with you in a development phase. Because of COVID-19, we are still not traveling, so all the partners in the project will use their ecosystem and arrange different kind of digital events like networking, direct sales pitching, upskilling, and also make you participate in regular local activities in each hub. This could be tech talk, show and tell, and other internal meetings and events. The evaluation for getting into the next phase will be based on present needs and action plan, corporate evaluate the startup leads, budget for funding skill up in the phase, startup present strategy for qualifying leads. The startups who have already signed a letter of intent or another equivalent will be automatically scored higher for proceeding to the next phase. Evaluation is done by external experts and the corporate. And at least 20 corporate partnerships with identified and confirmed startups move on to the next phase. The develop phase lasts for 7 months and consists of working together with a corporate to build and develop the solution. You can also in this process hire experts from the project. Some of the evaluation criteria for this phase will be needs and action plan. The solution meets the corporate needs. The corporate also confirm that they are willing to use resources, KPIs. Also, you need to present a plan for budget and skill up for the next phase, which is the integration phase. As the title says, this phase consists of finalizing integration and testing. You need to work close with the corporate, and also here you can hire in experts from the project. This phase is 2 months, and the evaluation of this phase is, as for the others, present an action plan and needs for budget. Also, you will present an assessment of plan for the final pilot phase. Then we are at the final stage, the pilot. As usual, you need to present needs and action plan. But in this phase, it is also quite important with feedback from the customer and stakeholder. Assessment in form of market impact, collaboration, and further monetization possibilities. This concludes the STADIEM program like this. And I have to remember, and I remind you again, we aim to start in sort of mid-May. And if you go all the way through, finished in August 2022. That's it for me. Hand over to Violeta regarding the applicant phase.
Thank you, Einar. I'm about to share my screen. I see that there are already some questions, but we will address them after the presentation altogether. Okay. I guess you can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I will explain a bit in details about how to apply the whole application process and eligibility criteria. So as mentioned, the Open Call was launched in February. The deadline to apply is 31st of March, 5 p.m. Central European time. the total budget available for the Stadium first open call is 1,930,000 euros. The open call is open to startups, scale-ups, or any other legal entity which is established in the legal form of SME in any of the European member states, in any of the Horizon 2020 associated countries, also the overseas countries and territories linked to the member states. And I want to explicitly highlight that UK applicants are eligible for this open call. I will send you a link to see all the list of the countries after the presentation in the chat, but also the link is available on the website. In the open call section, you can also see and check if your country, if it's not part of EU member states, if it's eligible. So as mentioned earlier, the first open call will select 40 startups whose innovative products and solutions can be incorporated or integrated in the European media sector, and whose solutions can also address some of the media challenges that Einar presented in the previous presentation. So what kind of SMEs and startups we are looking in this open call? We are looking for companies who are established legally in one of the eligible countries which I mentioned, which are operational for at least 1 year with proven founding documents, which are cash runaway or self-funded for at least 6 months to a year. And also they need to prove that the startup can finish the program, or also to have a letter of comfort from their investors that the company can proceed. Also, we are looking for companies who are mainly B2B, but if your business is B2C, you need to present some proof that you already have some B2B partnerships, or some B2B partnerships are in the process to be established. Also, regarding your product, you have to have a proven initial product or market fit, which means that you need to have at least one client or a corporate client, a letter of interest, or a product business development in the process with a potential client. Also, your product has to be piloting capable, means that it has to be already live, or it has to be in a stage of a beta, basically having a publicly available beta. And also the last requirement is that it has received an investment or it has been self-financed, and the minimum requirement would be to be late seed or pre-series A, or that it has participated in any very well-known or known acceleration, incubation, or corporate venture capital program around Europe. So the application is done only through the F6S official application page. We don't accept applications through email or through any other means of communication, only through F6S. So you should submit your application there to fill the questions and to upload the necessary documents. You can complete there directly. Also, you don't have a character limit, so you can provide enough information which you think describes your product or your company well enough. And we also have 2 channels where you can reach out to us. One is the email, which is opencalls@stadium.eu. And we also have a live discussion page on the F6S Stadium page where you can also post your questions and we will answer them on time. So how basically the open call process goes and what are the next steps after you submit your application. So you have the time to submit your application till 31st of March, 5 p.m. CET, as mentioned, through F6S. Then basically April will be dedicated to check your eligibility and also to perform evaluations of your application. The evaluation will be done by remote experts who will be independent reviewers. And after the evaluation and the scoring that they will perform, the companies who are selected from this remote evaluation will go into online interviews with some of the hub representatives. And after that, we will have a consensus meeting where we will inform the selected companies. And after that, we will enter into the sub-grant agreement phase, which will be between end of April and mid of May, where we will basically select 40 companies. And these 40 companies, we will go straight into the match phase. As mentioned earlier, the original planning was to have the match phase starting in June, but we plan to start it a bit earlier, so around mid or end of May, but this is yet to be confirmed with the exact timing. So as mentioned, each proposal will be evaluated by 2 independent industry experts, and they will evaluate your proposal based on 4 criteria, which is concept of your proposal, technology, ambition, impact, and the team, of course. The scale is from 0 to 5, from 0 being fail to 5, which is excellent. And the minimum score you have to get at each of the 4 criteria is 3. And your overall score has to be 14, so you can qualify to enter into the interview phase. So just as a reminder, you need to do the application through F6S. You have to support online channels to post questions and to get to the consortium. And also all the necessary documents and information are already uploaded and available on the official Stadium webpage, which is stadium.eu/opencall1. And the deadline is 31st of March. So now I would like to open the floor to the Q&As and address some of the questions which I saw were already asked.
Okay, thank you very much, Einar and Violeta, also for your presentations. I see there are 7 questions already, so we are going to take most of them live here during this session. If you have a question, don't hesitate to put it in the Q&A box. Don't confuse that. There is also a chat box, but if you have a dedicated question for us, then please put it in the Q&A box so that we can run through them quickly. So let's go to the first question, which is from one of the attendees. To participate in this program, do we have to be a startup like founded not longer than 5 years ago? I think this is a question to Violeta.
Yes, so it doesn't matter how many years ago you have been founded, as long as you have the founding documents and also that you have been operational as a business for at least 1 year.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers the question. Then there is a question from Elena. Would it be possible to consult a list of corporate partners taking part in the program? Maybe I answer that. At this moment, we are not publishing a list of corporate partners yet, but of course, we will connect startups with all the corporate partners in our network during the matchmaking phase. It is not necessary to use one of the corporate partners we have in our network. As a startup, you can perfectly bring your own corporate partners with you in your application. I don't know if anybody else on the panel wishes to comment on this. Okay, then I hope this is good. Then a question, is there room in the call for partnerships between startups and NGOs? Who can answer that? I suppose yes, but anybody? Violeta, maybe?
Well, the open call is designed only for startups. That's why we are asking so many startup questions. Regarding the NGO, probably this can be can come at a later stage if you're selected and if you want to use some resources from this NGO. I would answer this question this way, because for the open call, it's only open to legally established startups or SMEs.
I see Sten wants to comment.
Yes, I want to add that, you know, if the NGO is your client or a bigger organization that wants to utilize your solution to unlock growth or a business opportunity, then obviously in that case, you can partner up within the program with an NGO. The NGO will not be financing the program because the financing goes towards your pilot together with a larger entity. And obviously, if it's a big NGO, let's say like Greenpeace or you know, some of these bigger NGOs, of course, obviously it qualifies as a corporate level. But just to make sure, the fund for scaling is not available for the NGO. The fund is available for you to scale your solution with a partner.
Okay, that's a clear answer. Thank you, Sten. Next question is from Samuel. We want to develop an AI-powered personalized learning platform for EdTech industry. The tool that we will develop can be used for media industry as well. What do you think about compatibility of our project to this program, considering the industry that we are working in? Well, here it's pretty clear. If you can convince us of a case you can make with your product in the media industry, then by all means you can apply to the program. Of course, whether you are selected, especially beyond the matchmaking phase, will of course depend on the construction of a successful partnership with a corporate there. So I think that answers the question. Good. Then a question from Ikea. Are the corporates already selected, or can startups bring in new corporates? Any requirements regarding them? Anybody want to take this question?
I can take this question.
Okay.
Of course, please do bring new corporates. If you already have a client, or you have clients, and we also suggest not to look only for one corporate, but also look for corporates, because obviously the success in the program depends on how well you manage to collaborate with a corporate. And we are giving access to experts and knowledge, as well as corporates in our network to help you to scale, but the validation very much relies on the corporate hands as well. So if you already have a pool of corporates that you are collaborating with, or you want to pilot with, or you have identified corporates, then you're very welcome to bring them on. One key thing regarding the corporates is that if you would like to bring in a new corporate, or you want to go with a certain type of a pilot, the corporate also must realize that they have to, in case of a successful work on your behalf, they actually have to stick up until in the cycle. So if the corporate wishes pilot with you, then they have an obligation to carry that pilot with you until the end of the program, which is the last stage as Einar presented.
Okay, thank you, Sten. Then there is a question for Violeta, I think. Is it possible to apply with more than one proposal?
Well, we addressed the application, so you can apply only with one proposal, and applying for the most suitable challenge that you think your solution can address.
Okay, so the short answer is no. Thank you, Violeta. Then a question from Elena. What if our project addresses a few of the challenges mentioned? I see in the application form we can select just one challenge from the list. What would be the place in the application to elaborate on this? Thank you. So there's a question from a company that wants to address multiple challenges at the same time. How do we deal with this in the application? Anybody who wants to address this? Violeta, maybe? Or Einar? Go on, Violeta.
Okay, Violeta, please.
Now, I'll just say that you should select the most, let's say, suitable challenge that you think you can address. But then when you describe into details about your product or solution in the concept, then you can mention which other challenges you can address. So you can explain that your product could be implemented in several different challenges.
Okay, you want to add anything to that, Einar?
No, that's good.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you. Then another question from Niels. Hi there, thanks for sharing all the info with us. Does the letter of intent have to be closed with a media corporate or future clients that uses our products? That's the first question. And then the second question, and in regards to being operational for at least 1 year, are SMEs eligible who are operational for more than 8 years and now start a new digital product? So maybe first the question on the letter of intent. Does it have to be with a media corporate or with a future clients that uses our products? Any conditions?
I can answer. So it would be preferable that that the letter of intent comes from a partner that you want to go to make a pilot on a product. So that would, in one scenario, that would presume that you identify a new partner or a partner whom you've already have discussed collaboration, but you have not practically done it, and then that partner expresses with a letter of intent the interest to collaborate with you in order to carry out the pilot, if you haven't done so. Another possible scenario is that if you have multiple products in your portfolio, and you have already an existing partner that uses one product of yours, but you haven't tested out another product, which is very clearly a separated product line, then a letter of intent from that partner is also suitable because you will be going out to test new innovation and piloting new innovation with that particular partner.
Okay.
Regarding the second question, Violeta is probably the master expert on this, but I would say, why not?
Yes, I mean, that's fine.
Okay, and I think I saw another question which is related. Yeah, the question from Paolo, which is related to the second question. We are not a startup, we are an SME with 10 years experience in the field and links to the media sector. I was wondering if this call is more targeted towards startups or SMEs with an innovative idea. So I guess here the answer is basically the same. If there is an SME with an innovative idea and innovative new products, they can apply. Any comments?
Yes, I agree that's fine because this is what we're looking for, innovative solutions who can be incorporating the media sector. It fits.
Okay, thank you. Then there is a question from Vasily. If we already have an SA and cannot provide information on investments in accordance with the statute, what should we do? I'm not sure if I completely understand the question. Maybe Violeta, you know?
I can also answer.
Or Sten?
Yes. So in general, we understand that in certain types of investment agreements, the amount of which is being invested is confidential, and it's totally normal. In that case, we would actually require a letter of validation or letter of confirmation from your investor that that basically proves that you have received the investment. It is very, very important also to understand that in case, and that's perhaps a forward-looking answer, is that if you are piloting in the program, you would also actually have to have a runway and means of actually completing the program, or at least the stages until which point you are being subsidized. And in order to make that guarantee, we would require the presentation either of your runway or a confirmation, validated confirmation from an investor that you do have resources to be able to utilize the fund in the program.
Okay, thank you. Then there is a question from Sasha. What if we already have negotiations with some corporates like BBC, Radio France, Netflix? Do we need to bring them to Stadium prior to apply to the program? There, I think the answer is not as such, but it's a strong point if you can include a letter of intent from them in your application before the end of March. That's a strong point for the evaluation. As also as Violeta presented in the eligibility criteria, we require to see some proof of or a corporate partnership or already a customer for your product or a company where you are negotiating with to develop something. So to bring that, you don't need to bring the partner to us at this stage, but including a letter of intent in your application is a strong point. And then, do we need to get the letter of intent prior to applying to the program? I think the strict answer, and Violeta, correct me if I'm wrong, the strict answer is no, but it's an added value to your application.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so then there is a question from Tuba. Who owns the intellectual property rights of the final products? Anybody can take this question. Here, I think as the intellectual property rights stay with the one who is developing the solution, so stays with the startup. There is no claim on IPR from our sides, nor from the corporates, as far as I am aware. Anybody wants to comment?
Yes, that's how it is. And additionally, I can just add, depending on how deep you go with the corporate partners, you can discuss with them separately about such a topic. But this is something that is already on a more professional level and relationship that you will have with them.
Okay, thank you. Then a question from Gary. Have a product already with customers, but the product we would like to deploy in this program is on our R&D roadmap and not in development yet. Sten, I see you want to respond.
Yeah. So, so the answer is this: that in majority of cases, the fund is not meant for developing or coding new products. The fund is exclusively meant for the European Commission and us to basically help to scale products. If there is, if you have an R&D product which you are ready to pilot or validate in certain type of a capacity, and if technical development is part of that validation with a particular client, then it's suitable. But the idea is not to develop new products within the Stadium framework for that, except financing. I would also like to mention there is that the evaluation, how do you proceed through the staging of Stadium, especially in the later stages, comes also from the corporate. And one of your goals in the late stages of the develop phase and integrate phase is to actually lock down a very clear piloting roadmap with the corporate, right? And if you identify there that some development or integration is needed, yes, that's suitable, but the fund is not clearly meant for you to build a new product and to start going hunting for clients for that.
Okay, thank you. Then there is a question from Gunlik. We have corporate clients, but we would love to use this framework to get into new corporate clients, but that would be those we don't know. How is that process? I guess this is exactly the purpose of our matchmaking phase as well. Anybody want to give comments? Einar?
Yes, maybe I can say something about this. Yes, this is the goal of the first phase, the matchmaking phase, that we in the hubs try to give you and get you in contact with corporates. So we use our networks, we make events, we give you the opportunity to meet them, we introduce you to them. And yes, that's part of the first phase of the project. So we do anything to do that. Every hub has like different tools and different ideas how they do it, but yes, we will do events and invite you and the corporates we know in our network to them. And yes, that's the most important thing of the first phase. So we will do that.
Great, thank you, Tanja. Then there is a question from Nejat, I think for Violeta. What kind of expenses will be accepted?
Okay, so first we provide the money here not on reimbursement phase, but it's a grant that is provided to the companies. And basically at the beginning of each phase, you and your corporate client will identify certain KPIs and how the work will be developed. So basically, the normal cost for this will be for the workload, for the equipment that will be used, and probably any travel-related expenses, depending, of course, on the program you design with the corporate client. The plan, not the program, sorry, the plan.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then there is a question from Katrine. What definition of media do you work with? The presentation seems to present a relatively narrow news media focus. Is that true, or do you work with a broader definition? Example, also film, computer games, like the media part of Creative Europe. The short answer is I think we take the broader definition of the media sector for sure. Anybody wants to comment concretely on this question?
I think,
yeah, I agree. Definitely broader. Frederick.
Yeah, exactly. We all want to say the same. So it's in the very wide sense. So it includes traditional media, it includes new media, social media, all of these. It definitely does not cover the old perspective. So also games and all of that also applies and is actually written into the challenges, potential challenges of the project.
Okay, thank you. Clear answer. Then there is a question, I guess, again for Violeta. Does the startup have to be established in EU, UK, or does the founder have to be from EU, UK?
It's the startup, the company, it has to be established in an eligible country.
Yeah, and just I think as an addition, it's not only EU and UK, it's EU, UK, and the associated countries in Horizon 2020, and there is a list available, I guess.
Yes, you can actually type it into any search engine. There's about 17 associated countries, which includes countries like Switzerland, Israel, Tunisia. It's a very extensive list.
Also Norway, for instance, which is part of the consortium.
Iceland.
Okay, then the tech route of our company is from 2 Horizon 2020 research projects. Is that at all relevant in this context? Anybody wants to comment? I guess.
If you have a good R&D, then of course.
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't really matter where your product is coming from or how it was financed or funded previously. I think the important aspect is that you have something, you have a customer or a corporate that is willing to collaborate with you to participate in the program. That's the important thing, and not the history of how it was realized. Okay, then another question, if selected, how much time is needed, recommended per week to work through the program exclusively on this concrete projects? I see Sten wants to comment.
So what we can say right now is definitely in the match phase, your commitment in terms of time will be higher. We are determining it right now because we understand that founders also need to do their work and scale their products and meet the goals set forward by their clients, their customers and investors. So definitely in the first 2 months, please expect a higher time commitment, because since we can't travel, we also have to get to know you in order to understand what kind of better services and value we can offer to you. In the later stages, obviously, you have an opportunity to access experts, or you can actually hire experts based on the funds what you have received. So in that case, if you manage to demonstrate that you meet the KPIs of each stages that Einar presented, you can define what is your own time commitment. You need to come forward to present the project in Stadium, organized events and pitches to investor community and then potential clients and so forth, but it's up to you to determine. Einar.
Yeah, I will also add that this is a kind of a competition. If you go into the matchmaking phase, you have to put down the hours to make a good match, to find a good match. We will, of course, help you, but it's also up to you to use your effort and put down your hours to find the correct match and be able to qualify for the next phase. So you could use a few hours and you can use a lot of hours.
Okay, thank you. Then there is a question from Katarina. Is it okay if the startup is still in a pre-revenue phase?
Can I answer this?
Sure.
So you can be in a pre-revenue phase, but you need to demonstrate, existence of resources to be able to participate in the program, at least in these first stages. There is an obligation to complete and unlock the business goals, and if your revenue comes from other sources than actually your MRR or AIR, for example, from investors or other partners or loans or grants, etc. You can demonstrate that. Of course, if you're making revenue and you have already clients, that's a very, very big bonus in case of your application.
Okay, clear answer. Thank you. Then there is a longer question. Let's see. In the focus area, content creation and distribution, the keywords are immersive, interactive user experience and storytelling. We found this call and are curious to hear if we can apply with our project an innovative creative VR project focusing on pushing boundaries for cinematic VR storytelling in multiplayer VR. The story is fiction and centering the theme grief, so there could be opportunities for getting corporate partners on board from the mental health industry. Are such a creative project eligible for applying, or does it have to be an actual tool that can be applied in storytelling creation contexts? So the question here, I guess, if I summarize, so it's a rather creative product creating an immersive VR environment and doing a fiction in there. Can those organizations working on interactive VR storytelling apply for the program as well? Anybody?
I feel like I should maybe use some time to consider. Maybe you, Anonymous, should send us an email and maybe describe some more, and then we can give an answer. Because if it's just the storytelling, just making the story, I think you're on the wrong spot. But please send us an email.
Yeah, and the purpose is to that the outcome is a product rather than a project. So it might not be applicable, but by all means, as Einar says, send us an email and we'll have a further look into it because it's better to have a more deeper assessment.
Okay, so yeah, here we will answer to this via email, and if it's a general answer, we will put it into the Q&A on our website as well afterwards. So, but indeed, we need some time to assess the question. Then another question, it sort of sounded like we have to bring the dream team client into the applications. No problem getting letters of intent from current clients if that strengthens the application, but it sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah, I see what he means. And you don't have to bring the dream client into the applications. Our main job as innovation hubs in this consortium with great partners is to make you find the dream client in the matchmaking phase. So Mike was talking about it will strengthen the application if you have a client or letter of intent or something into the application before the, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Einar. Then I think a question that was already answered, but Vasily, are we required to receive a letter of intent by March 31st? Answer is you don't necessarily need a letter of intent, but you need to show us some proof that you have a customer or a corporate partner already in mind, a customer of your product, or at least that you have a partner which is willing to invest together with you. Then another question: if we found a corporate client like in health, isn't traditional media house, but uses media services in their workflows, would that be an acceptable proposition?
I think I can potentially answer this. It might very well be. I think an example of this also is, for example, Red Bull Media House. Red Bull being, strictly speaking, well, the energy drink, but they've got a massive media department, which is now even a separate company. And the same goes for many other corporates. So if it's a sizable media entity, that might be applicable.
Okay, thank you. Then a question from Katarina. What about advertising, ad insertion for monetization? Is this eligible? Short answer, yes. Then a question from Ika. If we find new partners on our own, is it possible to amend the application with the new partner letter of intent after submitting, but prior to selection? Maybe for Violeta, this one.
Yes, I'm taking it. Yes, you can. You should just send an email to Open Calls at Stadium EU or myself, Violeta@fsuccess.com, so I can proceed with this case.
Okay, thank you. Then there is Alexandra with two questions. Is product testing possible outside of the program through consultations with existing clients as well? Our pilot is exclusive just for, or pilot is exclusively just for the Stadium program?
I can answer this.
Yes.
No, I think we answered it already once or twice before, that the idea is not to, if you already have a collaboration with an existing client with a product that you've already launched with that client, then the idea of Stadium is not to basically go and improve that product. The idea of Stadium basically is help you to grow to other markets and other clients. So in the best case scenario, you actually go and identify a new market or a new client. And we have several countries here, at least Germany, Norway, Belgium, and so forth. So it's definitely big. It's a big bonus that you go after a new client. As I said, if there is a radically different and innovative product which you want to pilot and test with an existing client, and you are clearly demonstrating that it's not just an update, but it is basically a novel product line, why not? But I would also recommend to send us an email so we could look at it as a consortium on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, thank you. And then a question, there's two more questions. I see we're almost out of time, but let's answer the final two questions which are here. Another question from Alexandra, which kind of reporting is expected beyond KPIs evaluation for each phase, financial reporting, technical progress reporting, etc.? Maybe Violeta, what kind of reporting is typically expected?
Yes, well, we don't require a certain type of reporting. I mean, it's basically the outcomes which we expect in each phase, and they're identified in the guide for applicants and also in the presentation that earlier Einar shared. So there are specific outcomes which we expect to deliver, and basically we will be in touch with also the corporate partner during the progress of your co-work together. So I would answer this question like this.
Yeah, and I can also add that in the start of each phase, we also would like to see a plan for the phase and also a budget for the phase. So it's sort of a pre-reporting into the phase.
Okay, clear, thank you. And then a final question from Gary. Can you qualify what is meant by develop in stage 2 develop? Anybody wants to?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Oh, let's have a Norwegian Estonian debate. Go ahead.
Okay. If we find a client for you in the matchmaking phase, there will always be developing for a new client, especially if you have a quite early product. So the developing phase is meant to be a phase where you develop your product even more close to the needs for the corporate, and then go into the integrate phase to really integrate it, and then pilot at the end.
Okay, Thank you.
And I think we have to be quite clear that the matchmaking phase is the phase for us together to find the corporate that suits you.
Okay, thank you very much, Einar. We are through the questions, and it's 2 p.m. So right on time we can finish. So if you have further questions, don't hesitate to contact us using the email address that we provided. The presentations will also be shared through the website. Actually, the presentations are already there from the previous webinar, so you feel free to browse through them. This webinar has been recorded, so you can always listen back to the questions and the answers we have provided here. And don't hesitate to contact us with all your further questions. And with this, I want to thank all the speakers here, Einar, Sten, Violeta, Tanja, Frederik, Galileo, for their participation. And thank you all for your interest in our projects, and wishing you good luck with your applications.